Hey there, and welcome. So, Side Effects is holding a new Houdini art challenge called Mardini, which is starting on the 1st of March. The idea of it is to create an artwork in Houdini based on a daily prompt. That prompt is basically just a theme to base your artwork around. It's open to anyone who would like to enter, and if you do enter, it doesn't have to be every day. Last year, there were prizes for Best Daily, Best Weekly, Best Collection, Best Overall Artwork, and for entering every day. So, as you may know, I won Best Collection in last year's Who Lie Art Challenge, and I've decided to do a daily review video for each day's entries. I'm going to be talking about the winning entries, what makes them so good, and then I'm also going to be talking about some of the other entries. I'll go over what I like about them, what I think could maybe be changed, and how they could have been winning entries in my opinion. So if you'd like me to review your entry, feel free to tag me on Instagram at 9_between. So with all of that comes a bit of a disclaimer. Everything that I'm saying here is my own opinion. It doesn't make it right or wrong. I'm just trying to give a critique that the artist can work from and hopefully something that you can learn from as well. I'm not trying to make fun of or insult or belittle any of the artists. I'm merely just trying to give some feedback in an entertaining way. So let's get straight into it. In third place in the images category, we have this entry by Nico Klein for day 21 run. And this is the first entry in Creatures Week. So Nico's gone for this cheetah, which is sort of in its running cycle, where all of its legs are sort of off the ground, and he has it in this area that's very reminiscent of an African plain. He has very good lighting on this, so the light catches the fur towards the edge of the cheetah. As far as color goes, the color looks great on this. Everything sort of blends together, but you still definitely get the idea that the cheetah is the focal point. That's largely because a lot of its body is against the sun, so you can consider this a high contrast area, almost like a silhouette, but you can see the detail in the subject. So they have a very simple piece of geometry, and one of the reasons I imagine that they tilted the head away from the camera is, and this is just speculation, but I imagine that it's difficult to model a sort of cheetah's head in a daily challenge, especially in Houdini where organic modeling isn't really its strong point. So I think tilting the head away is better for realism. Now that's just my thoughts on it. Of course, that might be for another reason, but I would definitely try and tilt the head away so that you don't sort of give away that it's not a properly modeled cheetah. But yeah, the shape of this looks good. You can see that this is sort of the hip area. There's a distinction there. The spinal curvature looks good. The sort of muscle up front, the shape over there looks good. So yeah, I think that this is pretty cool. Nice entry from Nico Klein. In second place, we have this entry from GC Pigeon. So they've gone for this human in mid-stride. They've got this very silhouetted figure. They've got the black on black. It's a super interesting touch, especially when you hit it with a very vibrant splash of color like they've done here. They've also chosen colors that go very well together. Pink, cyan, and purple all go extremely well together. I also like that it's sort of separated into areas of those colors. You can see there's purple there, there's pink in between, and there's turquoise color over here. It's a lot better than having them all sort of mixed in together. The actual character that they have, extremely well detailed character, and it catches the light very well. It's also got lots of good detail to it in terms of a displacement or bump. So there's light variation across the surface when the light hits it. They've got a bit of a gradient on the background, which accentuates the actual edge light over here. And so overall, it looks awesome. Lovely entry by GC Pigeon. And in first place, we have this entry by Oscar. And they've gone for this cardboard horse. And they've done such a good job of making it look cardboard. Mostly because of a sort of corrugated cardboard at the bottom and these little bits of grass over here. But the art style of this is so good. They have the cardboard boxes in the background. And yeah, it's just such an interesting shot. These shreds of cardboard over here making up the main, everything about this is so good. I can't fault this one. I'm just enjoying looking at it, basically. But yeah, this lighting that's hitting the front face over here, that also hits the sort of edge muscles over here. And the model is not particularly difficult to have made. This is a single piece, this is a single piece over here. This would be maybe one piece, the back's a piece, and then you can boolean them together or VDB combine them and run a noise over them to generate the sort of shape over here. But yeah, I think that this is awesome. Lighting is pretty much perfect, and there's good variation. You can see that this is a slightly redder tone than this over here, so it gives that slight variation. Shallow depth of field, and they've really got the feel of motion. You can feel that this horse is moving this way. So yeah, as always, Oscar with the insane entry. In third place in the animation category, we have this entry by Burke Edach. And what they have here is a very simple run animation, but very neatly and well done, right? This is quite a nicely refined run cycle, and they've just got a good sort of deformation of these blocks going on, with some of these blocks falling off towards the back, a sort of particle emission at the back. Good color choice, nice bit of shallow depth of field, Mardini in the background over there. It's just a simple, good looking render. As you can see, every time the foot hits the ground, it emits some particles. I think that's an awesome touch. So yeah, I think that this is great. In second place, we have this entry by Jason Harmon. And they have this looping animation of this silly little dog. But the art style of this is exceptional. It kind of reminds me of something from like Toy Story. A very nice choice of background, and this is always cool, where you have this floor over here that is defined by the little bit of detail, and then everything else is just the same, right? It's all uniform, just a single color. And that just gives you a little bit of something to work with. You don't want the environment to take away from the central subject, but you also don't want it to feel like it's just sort of floating in space, right? You want it to feel like there is some sort of environment. It also helps the tactile feel of the run animation. And yeah, it's a very good use of dynamics, right? You don't have to focus on a great run cycle. You can just sort of do this and then have everything else sort of organic due to whatever this may be, vellum or femme or whatever you have. I think that's awesome. Lovely entry by Jason Harmon. In first place, we have this awesome entry by NQ. And so they have these little characters all sort of running on spot, and then the one up front really just begins to push it, and he gets over the finish line, and that's awesome. Everything about this is great. There's good lighting and texturing. Because this is a very simple sort of scene, you do want to flesh things out with good lighting and good texturing and all of that, and they do have that, right? This feels almost like an office space or something. You have the plaster on the wall in the background, you have this desk up front or whatever it may be, and these little dudes on these sticks up front. And as you can see, their animations are all the same, but they're slightly offset. So each one is sort of in a different state of their run cycle. And then they have the one up front that just speeds up and goes over the finish line. But overall, the concept is brilliant. No real running exactly, but they have running, right? So they have run cycles, but in a very unique way. These characters aren't actually just running on spot. They're attached to the sort of stick, and they're stuck there, and then this one pushes ahead. And it's a really great story that it tells. So I love this entry by NQ. Once again, I think that this is one of my favorites. I love the way that it feels. So yeah, awesome stuff. Kangaroo.
Let it go, dogs, let's go.
I love this one. This one's very cute. I'd say that it's just lacking a slight amount of subtle detail to it, right? So if you look at the first place entry of day one, it was that one from Carl Drifter, right? And he had very simple characters, but there was a lot of minor detail in the scene, like his ground had slight roughness variation and things like that. Maybe I can bring it up quickly so I can show you. Right, so I just wanted to compare this one to the one that NH Pratyusha did, because if you look at this, there's some minor detail on these characters. There's minor detail in these stands over here, a bit of variation, things like shallow depth of field and interesting lighting and that. And I really think that this sort of thing can be extrapolated into this entry, and then it would be awesome. So yeah, I think that it looks so good, right? This little character, this little cube, he's a bit of a chonky boy. He's been running for a bit. Yeah, I could just do with a little bit of variation. Like the background's cool, that it sort of tapers off infinitely. The whole scene that's been set here, the story that's being told, everything's awesome. a nice procedural treadmill. Can't really fault it apart from the few minor things that would really help it lean into this art style a bit better. Because this is a tricky art style, right? You don't want it to seem incomplete, but it's a very simplified art style. So you have to kind of walk a fine line on this one. But yeah, I definitely think comparing it to the first place entry from day one would maybe help here. But awesome stuff. So from what I can tell, this is actually a character, I think. Like, is that a head? And then this is the hand coming forward. And this is the leg over here. That sort of thing. And then this is another leg. But if it is, I think you can maybe flesh that out a bit better. It's a little bit tough to see what it is. And if that was fleshed out a bit, I think it would be pretty cool. Then maybe even include the geometry similar to the other entry from GC Pigeon, where they have the black geometry with the light hitting on it. Something like that could be cool. But I don't know. I think that this is nice. There's good color variation and things with the black background, so it's not overbearing. The concept just isn't getting across quite as well as it could be. And that's from Butadine. This one from ILLSQJN this week will definitely be one of the toughest of March for me. I'll also probably learn about non-procedural modeling methods. That's true. Modeling creatures in Houdini can be very tricky if you're not doing something like insects. Insects kind of lend themselves to proceduralism, right? 6 legs that get repeated, and they're also sort of faceted. They look like armor. All of that stuff, pretty okay in Houdini, but things like fleshy animals are a lot more difficult. I suppose hedgehogs are kind of cool. Hedgehogs are, you know, spiky, and that you can do with proceduralism. But yeah, I think this is cool. Nice texturing on this, and it doesn't look bad, right? This is a good shape that you have going here for the leg and the paw. It's quite cute, actually. So yeah, cool entry from ILLSQJN. But another thing is, like, if you check a lot of the entries for animals from last year, not that many of them were actually animals per se. Like, I did a couple of animal things, and you can see, like, some of them do the topic in a more unexpected way. Like, once again, Black Pixel with insane entry over here. Don't know how he did any of this, man. This is crazy. But yeah, maybe take inspiration from these things. That was cute. It's a cute cat. Follow Drifter. Have you seen when cats like run and that sort of mid-stride where their legs are tucked? They just look like fur cannonballs. It's so cool. Cats are weird. This one, this one's a risky one. I don't know if this is Daniela or Danielle. I never know.
Pronouncenames.com.
Daniele.
Do we have the correct pronunciation of your name?
So I'm sorry, whichever one it is. I'm going to place my bets on Daniela88. This one's animation is so good. It's like a floppy Naruto run, which I think is great. There's a little bit of bounce to it as well, which I think is awesome. It's got so much character to it, actually. If this was just, you know, very simply rendered, it would look awesome. Just like a nice little blue background. Maybe a bit of smoothing on this as well would be nice if you VDB combine or something. If not VDB combine, then just Boolean and subdivide. I think that could be nice. Alternatively, you take the rest frame. So like the first frame, you VDB combine it, smooth it, and then like apply UVs or whatever, and then deform it by this one. So like a point deform type thing. That way you can sort of maintain the animation without having to run the VDB process for each frame, which is kind of cool. So like rely on point deforms and stuff for that can be kind of nice. But I think this is awesome. This run animation is really nice. This is a pretty accurate representation of our run. You know, in high school, we had a sports day thing where we all first got there. And I was a bit of a fat kid, right? A little bit of a chunky boy. And we had to run, I think it was only like 800 meters or something. On that day, only 2 people didn't finish. It was me and the other guy that didn't finish. Well, he had a hole in his heart. That sums up my fitness in high school. This entry from Mumu, I really like this one. It's a nice little run animation. It's really just like showing Houdini chugging along. I think it's awesome. It's a great entry. As far as run animations go, this one's unique, I guess. Is that how the science works? How does the science work behind this? If you're running on a wheel like that, to go backwards or forwards? Pushing that way. Rolls this way. Yeah, you go backwards, don't you? I never thought about that. Cheers, lad. Ooh, very cool entry from Behika. That's pretty sick. That spin around into the full movement speed, into each one of these just kind of running. I think, oh no. I think, awesome. Yeah. Free cheese. This one's also so good. This is a sick run cycle. I say this is a run cycle, but I think that's so unique. That is awesome. Sick stuff from Thomas Klein Christensen, man. That was wild. I love that one. And this one from Trevor J reminds me of like a Headspace commercial or something.
Not to just talk about it. We're going to start with the eyes open and a nice soft focus, just a
The color scheme and the sort of growing out effect, that transition, that's such a sick motion graphic effect. Wow, awesome stuff from Trevor J. Special mention to Takuya Okada. This is insanely good. This run animation that they have going here, that's a pretty high quality run animation. They've also got great camera move, like great camera shake, a sense of scale. These are trees. This is so sick. Yeah, special mention right here. I think it's awesome. So that is all for today's video. But anyways, thanks for watching again. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you found it fun, entertaining, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.